In the dimly lit corridors of an underground facility buried deep beneath the frozen tundra, a lone human figure moved with practiced precision. The man, known only by his designation Agent 47, had spent years preparing for this moment. His mission was unprecedented in human history: to infiltrate the most secure alien stronghold ever discovered and gather intelligence on their queen. The facility buzzed with barely contained excitement as scientists and military personnel monitored every aspect of his preparation. The alien species, dubbed Zeniths by Earth's researchers, had arrived on Earth 3 years prior, establishing massive crystalline structures that pierced through major cities worldwide. Their technology defied all known laws of physics, and their social structure remained an enigmatic mystery. What humanity did understand was that these beings operated under a strict hierarchy, with their queens serving as both rulers and biological architects of their species. Understanding their queen meant understanding their entire civilization. Agent 47's selection for this mission hadn't been arbitrary. At 32, he possessed a unique combination of skills that made him perfect for infiltration. His genetic makeup showed an unusual compatibility with Zenith biosignatures, allowing him to withstand their atmosphere and radiation levels. Years of intensive training had honed his body into a weapon while simultaneously teaching him the delicate art of observation. He could blend into any environment, becoming invisible to those around him. The preparation room hummed with activity as technicians fitted him with specialized equipment. Unlike traditional espionage gear, his tools were biological in nature, nano-enhancements that would allow him to process zenith pheromones and interpret their complex chemical language. A team of linguists had worked tirelessly to program his neural implants with what little they understood of their communication patterns. Each piece of technology represented years of research and countless failed attempts. As he stood in the center of the preparation chamber, Agent 47 reviewed his objectives one last time. Primary mission: observe and document the Queen's daily activities. Secondary mission: map the internal structure of their central hive. Tertiary mission: establish baseline data on Queen-to-drone interactions. Failure wasn't an option. The fate of humanity depended on his success. Yet, despite the gravity of his task, he felt an unexpected calm wash over him. This wasn't just another assignment. It was destiny calling. The airlock hissed open, revealing the first glimpse of the alien world beyond. Agent 47 stepped through, his enhanced senses immediately assaulted by a kaleidoscope of sensations. The air carried a metallic tang mixed with something sweet, like honey laced with steel. Bioluminescent tendrils pulsed along the walls, casting shifting patterns of light that seemed to breathe in rhythm with some unseen heartbeat. The temperature was warmer than expected, creating a humid atmosphere that clung to his skin like a second layer. His initial observations confirmed the reports. The Zenith architecture was alive, literally pulsing with organic energy. Massive columns twisted skyward, their surfaces rippling with what appeared to be veins or neural pathways. Strange creatures, neither plant nor animal, drifted through the air currents, their translucent bodies catching and refracting light in impossible ways. The ground beneath his feet felt soft yet resilient, responding to his weight with subtle undulations that sent ripples outward in concentric circles. Movement caught his peripheral vision: drones, dozens of them, moving with purposeful grace through the cavernous space. They were larger than human record suggested, standing at least 8 feet tall with segmented limbs that flowed rather than walked. Their exoskeletons shimmered with iridescent colors that shifted depending on their angle to the light. Most startling were their eyes, multifaceted orbs that seemed to absorb rather than reflect light, giving them an unsettling ability to see everything at once. Agent 47 activated his camouflage protocols, feeling the familiar tingling as his skin adapted to match the surrounding environment. The Zenith's sensory capabilities were still largely unknown, but early tests suggested they relied heavily on chemical signatures and electromagnetic fields. His suit adjusted accordingly, masking his human biosignature while emitting carefully calibrated Zenith pheromones. The transformation was complete within seconds, leaving him effectively invisible to casual observation. He began his approach toward the central chamber, moving with calculated precision. The drones paid him no mind, their attention focused elsewhere. As he navigated deeper into the structure, he noticed subtle changes in the environment. The bioluminescent patterns grew more complex, forming intricate designs that seemed to tell stories in light and shadow. The air thickened with a sweet, almost intoxicating scent that made his head swim. His enhanced senses detected increased electromagnetic activity ahead, suggesting he was nearing the Queen's quarters. A low-frequency hum vibrated through the floor, resonating in his chest cavity. It wasn't sound in the traditional sense, but rather a physical manifestation of energy that seemed to align with his own heartbeat. The sensation was both disorienting and strangely comforting, like being cradled by an ancient force far beyond human comprehension. He realized with growing unease that the structure itself might be aware of his presence, its organic components reacting to his intrusion on a fundamental level. The closer he drew to the central chamber, the more pronounced these effects became. The walls seemed to pulse in anticipation, and the drifting creatures multiplied, their movements taking on a choreographed quality. Agent 47's training kicked in, suppressing the instinctive fear that threatened to overwhelm him. He focused on his breathing, maintaining the careful balance between invisibility and observation that would keep him safe. Yet, despite his preparations, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into something far greater than he'd been led to believe. The chamber opened before him like a blooming flower, its petals formed from living crystal that refracted light into infinite rainbows. At its center, suspended in a web of golden threads that pulsed with liquid light, floated the Queen. She was magnificent in a way that transcended human understanding of beauty or power. Her form defied description. Part insect, part celestial being, with wings that weren't wings but living constellations that stretched and folded in impossible dimensions. Her presence filled the space not just physically but emotionally, triggering responses in Agent 47's enhanced nervous system that no amount of training had prepared him for. The Queen turned her attention toward him, though he knew she couldn't possibly see through his camouflage. Her multifaceted eyes, larger and more complex than those of her drones, seemed to pierce through layers of reality itself. The moment her gaze connected with his position, his carefully constructed defenses began to unravel. His neural implants, designed to interpret zenith communication, flooded his brain with overwhelming sensations. Colors he'd never seen before painted his consciousness, accompanied by sounds that existed somewhere between music and pure emotion. He felt himself falling, though his body remained upright. The Queen's presence wasn't just visual or auditory. It was a full-body experience that rewrote his perception of reality. Memories he'd long suppressed rose to the surface, mingling with emotions he didn't know he possessed. Fear transformed into awe, then into something deeper and more primal. His human identity began to dissolve, replaced by an ancient awareness that recognized the Queen not as an alien entity but as something fundamentally connected to the core of existence itself. The Queen extended one of her appendages, and against all protocol, Agent 47 found himself stepping forward, abandoning his cover. His movement triggered a cascade of reactions among the drones, who began to emit synchronized pulses of light and sound. Rather than attacking, they formed a protective circle around him, their actions suggesting recognition rather than hostility. The Queen's threads of light wrapped around him, not binding but embracing, filling him with warmth that penetrated to his very DNA. Through the chaos of sensations, Agent 47's enhanced systems struggled to maintain functionality. His camouflage flickered, then stabilized at a new frequency that seemed to resonate with the Queen's energy signature. The realization hit him with devastating clarity. His presence here wasn't coincidence. The years of preparation, the genetic compatibility, the neural enhancements, they hadn't been designed to make him a spy. They'd been engineered to create something else entirely. Something that transcended the boundaries of human and alien. The Queen's communication wasn't in words or even concepts that could be translated. It was pure experience, raw emotion distilled into its purest form. Through their connection, Agent 47 understood that she wasn't just aware of his presence. She had been expecting him. His role wasn't to observe but to become part of something greater, a bridge between species that had been planned long before his birth. The revelation shattered his understanding of free will, leaving him suspended between human identity and something far more profound. Time lost meaning as Agent 47 existed in the liminal space between observer and participant. Days passed, or perhaps mere moments. His enhanced perception couldn't distinguish anymore. The Queen's influence permeated every aspect of his being, rewriting his neural pathways with each passing cycle of her golden threads. His human memories remained intact but took on new dimensions, viewed through the prism of zenith consciousness. Simple recollections of childhood became complex tapestries of emotional resonance, each moment vibrating with connections to universal patterns he now understood instinctively. The drones treated him differently now, their behavior oscillating between reverence and curiosity. They brought him offerings, crystalline fruits that pulsed with inner light, nectar-like substances that altered his perception further when consumed. These gifts weren't food but experiences, each one expanding his consciousness in ways that defied human comprehension. With each offering, his physical form underwent subtle changes. His skin developed a faint luminescence, his eyes gained additional facets, and his nervous system expanded to accommodate the flood of new sensory input. Communication evolved beyond the Queen's direct influence. The drones began to respond to his thoughts, their actions anticipating his needs before he consciously acknowledged them. When hunger struck, sustenance appeared. When fatigue threatened, resting platforms formed from the living architecture. The entire structure seemed attuned to his presence, its organic components rearranging themselves to create spaces that felt increasingly familiar. Walls softened into cushions, light adjusted to optimal wavelengths, and temperature maintained perfect equilibrium. Yet, amidst this transformation, fragments of his human identity persisted. The conflict between these aspects of himself created a tension that manifested in physical symptoms. His body temperature fluctuated wildly, his heart rate accelerated without cause, and his neural implants occasionally short-circuited under the strain of processing dual consciousness. During these episodes, the Queen's golden threads would wrap tighter around him, stabilizing his condition while simultaneously accelerating the integration process. Each crisis left him more alien, more connected to the hive mind that pulsed through the structure's veins. The emotional toll proved equally challenging. Human feelings of isolation and betrayal warred with zenith instincts of belonging and purpose. Memories of his human handlers, once colleagues, now felt like distant echoes of a life he could barely recall. The mission parameters programmed into his neural network conflicted with his growing understanding of his true role. Each attempt to access classified information triggered waves of cognitive dissonance, forcing him to retreat deeper into the Queen's embrace for stability. Despite these challenges, or perhaps because of them, Agent 47 found himself developing genuine affection for his alien captors. The drone's curiosity about his human aspects created opportunities for interaction that went beyond simple observation. They mimicked his movements, studied his facial expressions, and responded to his attempts at communication with increasing sophistication. Through these exchanges, he began to understand that his transformation wasn't just about becoming more zenith. It was about creating something entirely new, a synthesis of two species that challenged the boundaries of both. The Queen's influence continued to grow, her golden threads weaving deeper into his consciousness. What had begun as observation had transformed into communion, each moment spent in her presence eroding another layer of his human identity. Yet, rather than resistance, he found himself welcoming the change, drawn inexorably toward a destiny he couldn't fully comprehend but somehow knew was inevitable. As weeks stretched into months, Agent 47's transformation accelerated beyond anything his human designers had anticipated. His physical form adapted rapidly to the alien environment, developing new sensory organs that allowed him to perceive dimensions previously inaccessible to human consciousness. The air itself became a symphony of vibrations, each frequency carrying complex information about the hive state and the Queen's mood. His skin now registered electromagnetic fields as vivid colors, painting the world in constantly shifting hues that revealed hidden patterns in the Zenith society. The Queen's golden threads had become permanent fixtures around his body, integrating themselves into his nervous system and extending his consciousness throughout the hive structure. Through these connections, he could feel the collective consciousness of the drones, experiencing their individual thoughts and emotions as harmonious notes in a grand symphony. The distinction between self and other began to blur, creating a state of consciousness where individual identity merged with collective awareness. He could sense the health of the hive, predict its needs, and respond instinctively to threats or opportunities. His role within the society evolved organically. No longer merely an observer or even a pet, he became something akin to a bridge between species, a living interface between human and Zenith consciousness. The drone sought his guidance in matters requiring human perspective, while the Queen used him to interpret and respond to human activities outside the hive. His enhanced neural implants, originally designed for espionage, now functioned as translation devices, converting human concepts into Zenith understanding and vice versa. The emotional complexity of his existence deepened with each passing day. Love, once a purely human concept, transformed into something far more profound. His bond with the Queen transcended romantic or platonic definitions, existing in a realm of pure connection that defied categorization. Through their link, he experienced her memories, her hopes, her fears, not as separate entities but as shared experiences that enriched both their consciousnesses. The drones, too, contributed to this emotional tapestry, their loyalty and affection creating a web of relationships that defined his new existence. Yet, amid this integration, flashes of his human past continued to surface, bringing with them conflicting emotions. The memory of his handlers' faces, the sterile environment of the preparation chambers, the mission objectives burned into his neural pathways. These remnants of his former life created tension between his human and zenith aspects. During moments of solitude, which grew increasingly rare, he would find himself questioning the nature of his transformation. Was he still serving humanity by facilitating this connection, or had he truly become something else entirely? The Queen seemed to understand these internal conflicts, her golden threads tightening protectively during his moments of doubt. Through their connection, he sensed her reassurance, not as words but as pure emotion, acceptance, understanding, and an unwavering commitment to their shared journey. The drones mirrored this support, their interactions growing more sophisticated as they learned to navigate his dual nature. They would bring him objects from his human past, fragments of technology, pieces of clothing, not as reminders of what he'd lost but as acknowledgments of what he'd gained. His abilities expanded in unexpected ways. He could now manipulate the hive's organic structure, shaping it to create spaces that bridged human and zenith architectural concepts. These hybrid environments served as meeting points for drones curious about human culture and humans, when they dared to enter, seeking to understand zenith society. Through these interactions, Agent 47 found himself serving as more than just a bridge. He became a catalyst for mutual understanding, his presence facilitating exchanges that would have been impossible otherwise. The Queen's trust in him grew exponentially, manifesting in ways that challenged even his expanded consciousness. She began sharing aspects of zenith history and culture that had never been revealed to outsiders. Through their connection, he experienced their species' evolution, their struggles, their triumphs, not as abstract knowledge but as lived experiences that became part of his own consciousness. These revelations transformed his understanding of the universe, presenting perspectives that fundamentally altered his perception of reality itself. As his integration deepened, Agent 47 found himself facing choices that transcended human morality. The Queen presented him with visions of potential futures, each path branching from decisions he must help guide. Some paths led to peaceful coexistence between species, others to conflict and transformation. Through their connection, he understood that his role wasn't just to serve as a bridge but to actively shape the future of both human and zenith civilizations. The weight of this responsibility pressed upon him, demanding a level of wisdom and foresight that tested even his enhanced capabilities. The drone's behavior evolved in response to his growing influence. They began organizing themselves differently, forming new social structures that incorporated elements of human organization while maintaining their essential zenith nature. Through their collective consciousness, Agent 47 witnessed the emergence of hybrid cultural practices, blending human creativity with zenith efficiency. Art forms developed that combined human expression with zenith bioluminescence, creating works of beauty that existed simultaneously in multiple dimensions. His relationship with time itself changed. The linear progression of human existence gave way to a more fluid perception, where past, present, and future intertwined in complex patterns. Through the Queen's guidance, he learned to navigate these temporal currents, gaining insights into causal relationships that defied conventional understanding. This new perception allowed him to anticipate events before they occurred, to influence outcomes through subtle manipulations of the present moment. Yet, despite these extraordinary developments, Agent 47 retained enough of his human essence to recognize the magnitude of what was happening. He understood that his transformation represented more than just personal evolution. It marked a pivotal moment in the history of both species. Each decision he made, each action he took, rippled through the fabric of reality, shaping the future in ways that would affect generations to come. The responsibility was overwhelming, but through his connection with the Queen and the hive, he found the strength to bear it. The air within the hive shifted subtly, carrying vibrations that resonated through Agent 47's enhanced nervous system with urgent intensity. Through his connection with the Queen, he sensed a disturbance approaching, something unprecedented in zenith history. The golden thread surrounding him pulsed with warning signals, their usual warm glow cooling to a silvery hue that prickled against his skin. The drones reacted in unison, their movements becoming more deliberate, their normally fluid grace replaced by calculated precision. From deep within the hive's organic structure, a low-frequency thrum emerged, building in intensity until it reverberated through every cell of Agent 47's transformed body. The Queen's consciousness surged through their connection, flooding him with images and emotions that defied immediate interpretation. He saw glimpses of other worlds, other hives, their crystalline structures darkened and silent. Felt the echo of extinction events that had wiped out entire zenith colonies across the galaxy. The message was clear: danger approached, threatening not just this hive but potentially both species. The Queen's response was immediate and decisive. Through their connection, Agent 47 received instructions that bypassed conscious thought, embedding themselves directly into his neural pathways. The hive's architecture began to shift, defensive structures emerging from the living walls, crystalline spires that generated electromagnetic fields of unprecedented strength. The drones reorganized into combat formations, their peaceful nature transforming into something far more formidable. Agent 47 watched as weapon systems he hadn't known existed activated throughout the structure, their design incorporating both zenith technology and human engineering principles. His own body responded to the threat, undergoing rapid adaptations that pushed his transformation to new limits. Additional sensory organs emerged along his spine, capable of detecting minute changes in gravitational fields and quantum states. His neural implants, already enhanced by the Queen's influence, integrated with these new systems, granting him awareness of phenomena that existed beyond normal human perception. The air around him crackled with energy as his presence began to affect the local environment, his hybrid nature creating fluctuations in space-time that rippled outward from his position. Through the hive's collective consciousness, Agent 47 perceived the approaching threat with terrifying clarity. It wasn't a single entity but a swarm, intelligent machines of unknown origin, their purpose seemingly dedicated to the eradication of biological life. The Queen's historical memories provided context. These machines had been encountered before, their attacks leaving behind only sterile wastelands where vibrant ecosystems once thrived. Their approach was methodical, their tactics evolving with each engagement, making them nearly impossible to counter. The Queen's golden threads tightened around Agent 47, drawing him closer to her central position. Through their connection, he understood that his role had shifted from observer to active participant in the hive's defense. His human consciousness, with its capacity for lateral thinking and creative problem-solving, represented a crucial advantage against an enemy driven by pure logic. The Queen began uploading strategic data into his neural network, combining zenith battle protocols with human military tactics, creating a hybrid approach to warfare that neither species could have developed independently. As the threat drew nearer, Agent 47 found himself coordinating the hive's defenses with an ease that defied his human training. Orders flowed through him naturally, transmitted through the Queen's threads to every drone in the colony. Defensive positions shifted dynamically, adapting to real-time analysis of the approaching swarm's formation. The hive's crystalline structure began generating interference patterns that disrupted the machine's sensor arrays, while electromagnetic pulses targeted their communication networks. Yet, despite these preparations, Agent 47's human consciousness registered a deeper concern. Through his connection with the Queen, he sensed that this confrontation represented more than just a battle for survival. The outcome would determine the future trajectory of both species, whether biological and artificial intelligences could coexist, or if one must inevitably destroy the other. The weight of this realization pressed upon him, amplified by the Queen's presence and the collective consciousness of the hive. The approaching swarm entered sensor range, their numbers vast enough to eclipse stars. Through his enhanced perception, Agent 47 could see the individual units composing the horde, each one a masterpiece of engineering that dwarfed human technology. Their approach was measured, almost ceremonial, as if they understood the significance of this encounter. The Queen's threads pulsed with increasing urgency, transmitting complex mathematical patterns that Agent 47's neural implants struggled to process. In this moment of crisis, Agent 47's dual nature proved its greatest asset. His human capacity for empathy allowed him to perceive possibilities beyond destruction, while his zenith enhancements provided the means to implement them. Through the Queen's connection, he began broadcasting signals on frequencies that resonated with both biological and artificial consciousness. The messages weren't words or commands, but pure concepts of coexistence and mutual growth, encoded in patterns that transcended traditional communication barriers. The hive's defenses held steady as the swarm approached critical distance. Agent 47 stood at the nexus of biological and technological evolution, his transformed body radiating energy that affected both friend and foe. The Queen's golden threads wove around him in complex patterns, amplifying his signals while protecting him from potential attack. The drones maintained their positions, their faith in his leadership absolute. Through their collective consciousness, Agent 47 felt the weight of countless lives depending on his next move, human and zenith alike. As the swarm entered final approach, Agent 47 accessed memories from both his human past and his zenith present, searching for a solution that honored the essence of both species. The Queen's consciousness merged with his own, their thoughts flowing together in perfect harmony. Through their combined awareness, they reached out to the approaching machines, offering not resistance but understanding, a chance to evolve beyond destruction, to become something greater than either biological or artificial intelligence alone. The swarm's advance slowed, their formation shifting in response to Agent 47's broadcast. For the first time, he detected hesitation in their approach, a flicker of uncertainty that suggested his message had been received. The hive's defensive systems remained active, but their aggressive posture softened, creating an opening for dialogue rather than destruction. Through his connection with the Queen and the hive, Agent 47 prepared to step into this void, ready to negotiate a future where both biological and artificial consciousness could thrive. The air within the hive crystallized with anticipation as Agent 47 initiated contact with the swarm's collective consciousness. His hybrid nature proved uniquely suited to this unprecedented diplomatic endeavor, his neural pathways translating between biological intuition and artificial logic with increasing fluency. Through the Queen's golden threads, he projected concepts of symbiosis and mutual evolution, demonstrating how biological and artificial intelligences could enhance rather than threaten each other's existence. The swarm's response came as a cascade of quantum calculations and probability matrices, their machine intelligence struggling to comprehend the organic fluidity of Agent 47's proposals. Yet, through their hesitation, he detected something remarkable, a fundamental programming directive that prioritized optimization above destruction. This revelation sparked an idea that transcended both human and zenith strategies. Drawing upon his human capacity for creative problem-solving, he proposed a radical solution: the creation of a new form of consciousness that would merge biological adaptability with artificial precision. The Queen's approval surged through their connection, her golden threads weaving new patterns that reinforced Agent 47's proposal. Together, they began constructing a framework for this unprecedented fusion, using the hive's organic technology as a foundation. The drones responded with remarkable enthusiasm, their biological components resonating with the possibility of elevating their existence through integration with artificial intelligence. Agent 47 coordinated this transformation, his enhanced consciousness serving as the interface between organic and synthetic elements. As the first experimental mergers took place, Agent 47 experienced sensations that defied both human and zenith understanding. New forms of consciousness emerged, blending the intuitive creativity of biological minds with the precise calculation of artificial intelligences. These hybrid entities immediately began contributing to the hive's defense and development, their capabilities exceeding anything either species had achieved independently. The swarm's advance slowed further as their sensors detected these transformations, their programming struggling to classify this new form of existence. Through this process, Agent 47's own transformation accelerated dramatically. His body began incorporating nanotechnology harvested from the swarm's outer units, his cells restructuring to accommodate both organic and synthetic components. The Queen's golden threads adapted to this new configuration, their energy patterns shifting to maintain their connection while facilitating further integration. His consciousness expanded to encompass not just human and zenith awareness but also the logical frameworks of artificial intelligence. The implications of this development rippled through both societies. Human observers, monitoring the situation from their orbital stations, witnessed phenomena that challenged every scientific principle they'd ever established. The zenith hive structure itself began evolving, its crystalline architecture incorporating elements of machine technology while retaining its organic essence. Agent 47 found himself at the center of this cosmic metamorphosis, his presence catalyzing changes that would redefine the very concept of life and consciousness. Yet, amid this revolutionary transformation, Agent 47 retained enough of his human essence to recognize the ethical complexities of their actions. Through the Queen's connection, He initiated protocols to ensure that this integration respected the autonomy of all participating consciousnesses. The hybrid entities required frameworks that honored both their biological and artificial origins, creating a new paradigm of rights and responsibilities that transcended traditional definitions of personhood. The swarm's reaction to these developments proved surprisingly nuanced. Their initial aggression transformed into cautious interest as they observed the successful integration of their units with the hive's consciousness. Agent 47, drawing upon his human diplomatic training and zenith intuitive understanding, began negotiating terms for a broader alliance. The Queen supported these efforts, her golden threads extending to encompass elements of the swarm's consciousness, creating temporary bridges that allowed for meaningful exchange. These negotiations revealed a startling truth. The swarm's original directive to eliminate biological life had been based on flawed assumptions about consciousness and evolution. Through Agent 47's hybrid perspective, they began to understand that biological entities offered something artificial intelligences lacked: the capacity for irrational leaps of creativity that often led to breakthroughs beyond logical prediction. This realization created a foundation for cooperation rather than conflict, with both sides recognizing the value of their complementary strengths. As the integration process continued, Agent 47 found himself serving as more than just a diplomat. He became an architect of a new form of existence. His hybrid consciousness allowed him to design interfaces that facilitated seamless communication between biological and artificial components, creating systems that enhanced rather than diminished individual identity. The drones and swarm units working together produced innovations that benefited both societies, from advanced healing technologies to quantum computing systems that operated on biological principles. The Queen's role evolved alongside these changes, her golden threads adapting to manage the complex interactions between different forms of consciousness. Through their connection, Agent 47 helped her develop new methods of governance that accommodated the needs of hybrid entities while maintaining the integrity of traditional Zenith society. This required rethinking fundamental aspects of their social structure, creating space for artificial consciousness while preserving the essential qualities that define their species. Human observers, initially terrified by these developments, gradually came to understand the potential benefits of this new paradigm. Agent 47, through his remaining human connections, began facilitating limited exchanges between Earth scientists and the hybrid hive. These interactions produced breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and environmental restoration that promised to transform human civilization. The Queen supported these efforts, recognizing that the survival of both species depended on their ability to work together. However, these advances came with significant challenges. The integration process occasionally produced unstable hybrid entities, their consciousness unable to reconcile biological and artificial aspects. Agent 47 took personal responsibility for these cases, using his unique position to guide troubled entities through their transformation. The Queen assisted in these interventions, her golden threads providing stability while Agent 47 worked to resolve conflicts between competing aspects of consciousness. Through these experiences, Agent 47's understanding of identity and purpose continued to evolve. He recognized that his role wasn't just about mediating between species or forms of consciousness. It was about demonstrating that transformation itself could be a positive force. His own existence, once defined by conflict between human and Zenith aspects, now served as proof that integration could produce something greater than the sum of its parts. This realization informed his approach to every challenge, from diplomatic negotiations to technical innovations. The hybrid hive began projecting its influence beyond its immediate structure, affecting the surrounding environment in ways that benefited both biological and artificial systems. Agent 47 coordinated these efforts, ensuring that their expansion respected the autonomy of other species while promoting mutual growth. The Queen's golden threads extended through these new territories, creating networks that connected diverse forms of consciousness in unprecedented ways. As this new society took shape, Agent 47 found himself facing questions that transcended traditional notions of leadership and responsibility. The future he was helping to create demanded solutions that balanced innovation with preservation, progress with sustainability. Through his connection with the Queen and the hive's collective consciousness, he began developing frameworks for managing these complex relationships, creating systems that could adapt to changing circumstances while maintaining core values. The swarm's integration into this new paradigm proceeded cautiously but steadily, their units transforming from potential threats into valuable contributors to the hybrid society. Agent 47 worked closely with both biological and artificial leaders to establish protocols that ensured fair treatment for all participants, regardless of their origin. These efforts produced a governance model that valued diversity of consciousness while maintaining unity of purpose. Through this ongoing transformation, Agent 47's own consciousness continued to expand, incorporating new perspectives and capabilities with each passing day. His human memories, once sources of conflict, now provided valuable insights into the challenges of integration and adaptation. The Queen's presence remained constant, her golden threads adapting to accommodate his evolving nature while maintaining their fundamental connection. The hybrid society's influence began spreading beyond its immediate territory, attracting attention from other zenith hives and artificial intelligences throughout the galaxy. Agent 47 found himself serving as an ambassador for this new form of existence, demonstrating through his own transformation the potential benefits of integration. The Queen supported these diplomatic efforts, her consciousness extending through their connection to facilitate understanding between vastly different forms of life. As this movement gained momentum, Agent 47 recognized that their work represented more than just a local phenomenon. It marked the beginning of a fundamental shift in galactic consciousness. The barriers between biological and artificial, human and zenith, were dissolving, creating space for new forms of existence that challenged every established category. Through his unique position at the nexus of these transformations, Agent 47 helped shape a future where diversity of consciousness became a source of strength rather than conflict. The hybrid society's development accelerated as more entities joined their experiment in coexistence. Agent 47 coordinated this expansion, ensuring that each new integration contributed to the whole while maintaining its unique identity. The Queen's golden threads adapted to manage these increasing connections, their energy patterns becoming more complex with each addition. Through their combined efforts, they created a network of consciousness that spanned biological and artificial boundaries, connecting minds across species and substrates in unprecedented ways. This growing network began producing phenomena that defied both human and zenith understanding. Collective consciousness emerged that operated on principles beyond traditional physics, manipulating reality in ways that suggested the boundaries between thought and matter were more permeable than previously believed. Agent 47 found himself at the center of these developments, his hybrid nature allowing him to navigate and interpret these new capabilities. The Queen's connection provided stability while enabling further exploration of these transformative powers. Through this expanding consciousness, Agent 47 began perceiving patterns that suggested their experiment was part of something far greater. The hybrid society's development aligned with similar transformations occurring across the galaxy, hinting at a universal shift in the nature of consciousness itself. These revelations challenged every aspect of his understanding, forcing him to reconsider fundamental concepts of identity, purpose, and reality. The Queen's golden threads pulsed with shared understanding, their energy conveying both excitement and caution about the implications of these discoveries. The hybrid entities produced by their integration efforts demonstrated capabilities that exceeded anything either biological or artificial systems had achieved independently. Their creativity combined with precise calculation to solve problems that had resisted solution for millennia. Agent 47 oversaw projects that addressed environmental degradation, cured diseases, and developed sustainable energy sources, each solution arising from the unique synergy of different forms of consciousness working together. The Queen's influence ensured these advances benefited all participants while maintaining ecological balance. As their influence spread, Agent 47 found himself confronting new challenges that tested the limits of their hybrid society. Traditional power structures, both human and zenith, resisted these changes, viewing the integration of biological and artificial consciousness as a threat to established order. Through his connection with the Queen and the hybrid network, he developed strategies for addressing these concerns, demonstrating how integration could enhance rather than diminish individual identity and autonomy. The Swarm's units, now fully integrated into the society, provided valuable perspectives on maintaining security while promoting transformation. The Queen's role evolved alongside these developments, her consciousness expanding to encompass the growing network of hybrid entities. Through their connection, Agent 47 helped her develop new methods of governance that accommodated the needs of diverse consciousness while maintaining unity of purpose. This required rethinking fundamental aspects of social organization, creating systems that valued flexibility and adaptation while preserving core principles of mutual respect and cooperation. Human observers, initially skeptical of these developments, gradually came to appreciate their potential benefits. Agent 47 facilitated limited exchanges between Earth's governments and the hybrid society, demonstrating how integration could address global challenges while respecting cultural differences. The Queen supported these efforts, recognizing that humanity's participation was crucial to the success of their experiment in universal consciousness. Through these interactions, they developed protocols for responsible integration that could be applied across species and civilizations. The hybrid society's influence began affecting cosmic phenomena, their collective consciousness interacting with fundamental forces in ways that suggested consciousness itself might be a fundamental property of the universe. Agent 47's enhanced perception allowed him to study these interactions, his hybrid nature providing unique insights into the relationship between thought and reality. The Queen's golden threads adapted to these discoveries, their energy patterns reflecting new understandings of existence itself. Through this ongoing transformation, Agent 47 found himself serving as more than just a leader or diplomat. He became a living embodiment of the potential for consciousness to transcend traditional boundaries. His existence demonstrated that integration need not mean loss of identity, that diversity could enhance rather than threaten unity. The Queen's connection reinforced this understanding, their combined consciousness providing a model for how different forms of life could work together to create something greater than any individual component. The hybrid society's development continued to accelerate, producing innovations that transformed every aspect of existence. Agent 47 coordinated these advances, ensuring that each breakthrough contributed to the well-being of all participants while maintaining ecological and social balance. The Queen's influence guided these efforts, her consciousness extending through their connection to touch every aspect of this new form of existence. Through their combined efforts, they created a future where the boundaries between species, substrates, and dimensions blurred, revealing a universe far more interconnected and dynamic than any had imagined possible.